people really need to check themselves, you included. Jealousy is the biggest guidepost into potentially what you're here to do, what your guidepost is urging you to go and step into, because it's the thing that potentially, when you're 80, 90, 100, I'm hoping 120 on your deathbed, that you have regrets on.
Welcome to season 1 of Beyond the Human. Remember who you are. I'm your host, Hazel Ray, singer-songwriter, experiencer, and messenger for those walking the edge of remembrance just like me. This is not a podcast to convince you of anything. Really, just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. This is a transmission, a call to the ones waking up, the ones remembering, the starseeds, the sensitives, the truth seekers, bridging science and spirit. If you're listening to this, you are ready. So let's remember together.
Hey guys, I'm your host Hazel Ray, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Human. And today we are talking about living beyond your remembered truth. So living beyond the awakening, living beyond that dark night of the soul and what it looks like, and really, like I said, the truth behind it. So for me, one of the really interesting things that sort of, I suppose, came to light after my awakening was, I remember that I used to harbor jealousy around certain Instagram people, as in families, that were posting these happy pictures about their family. And what I started to understand is that in that time, people coming out with, whatever you see on Instagram isn't exactly what's going on. And the reality for me was, I didn't post that stuff. And I wasn't necessarily jealous that I wasn't posting. I was jealous that I didn't have that family unit. And I was in a relationship that I think on the outside looked like we had it all, but deep down on the inside was really falling apart. And so what I'm saying this is, when I then left my husband and started this whole new life, I could then feel grateful and joyous in the new things that I was creating. And there was no more jealousy when I would see these photos of families or people living out their dreams, because then I was able to step into that space too. So what I'm sort of pointing at with that is, people really need to check themselves, you included. Jealousy is the biggest guidepost into potentially what you're here to do, what your guidepost is urging you to go and step into, because it's the thing that potentially, when you're 80, 90, 100, I'm hoping 120 on your deathbed, that you have regrets on. I can tell you now that Henry David Thoreau, I might have mentioned him in an early episode, said that many of us live a life of quiet desperation and will go to our graves with our songs still left inside of us. Meaning, me literally, my songs would have been left inside of me. And I would envy anyone who was performing on stage, who was playing gigs. I was jealous. There was so much jealousy. I wanted to be doing that. And now I do that. I'm on stages, I'm performing, and I'm not jealous. In fact, I champion anyone who has the guts to walk this path and be a creative and get on stages and release music and become a podcaster. Again, I also knew I needed to start this podcast because there was I was envious of those that were behind this camera, sharing their truth, their story, adding value and helping people, because I knew deep down I wanted to be doing the same thing. So what I'm saying with that is, after your awakening, jealousy is a guidepost for your next steps and where you need to step into. And you're jealous because someone had, the courage to step into that space or to be seen. So I encourage you to journal on it. What am I jealous of? Why am I jealous? You'll be amazed at what actually comes from that. The next thing I wanted to talk about was how to stay centered and grounded in a world where we're so disconnected, and the world itself is quite disconnected. Now, we all know, and we feel that there's a growing community of awakened people who, understand that we potentially are all connected and that there is a power greater than us, and that potentially you have a life's purpose on this earth and that you have your own journey to be taken on. Some people just exist in every life, I suppose, following the narrative that they believed that what life should be. And who am I to say what life should be? It's whatever you want to make it to be. But how to stay grounded and connected. One thing I would encourage is don't watch the news. I was only listening to a podcast this just today when I was shopping about how we can only remember 1,500 people by face and name. That's usually our inventory. So you've got like all this family, and then you've got potentially famous people. And the reason is because you've had these touch points. I think it's like 11 hours in 4 different places over 7 different platforms or something, that you have to spend time with someone for them to actually create like a memory, a photographic image and remembrance of someone. But one way is to shortcut that is to create an emotional response. So fear is a great way to keep captivating audiences. So be someone like the news being particularly scary means that we have a lot of people watching it because it evokes some sort of cortisolic response in our system. That fear, the messages that are shared, are they true? Are they not? What can we discern in this life? Because at the moment, we have AI. There are laws coming out now that when you use AI, you're supposed to state that you've used AI. I'm not entirely sure if how is that being governed? How is that being policed? Is all TV companies, running with the same laws? How do you discern if what you're even watching on the news is truth? How do you even know the person behind the screen is not AI? I'm glad that these laws are coming into place, but again, I feel like as time's gone on in our lives, especially after COVID, there are so many of us questioning what is the truth and what is the narrative. Other ways to stay grounded and connected would be, for me, is having conscious conversations. I have to have people around me that want to ask the questions, the big questions about, what is it that we want in life? How do we want to be living? What do we need to be able to live like that? How much money is required? What is, the overarching I suppose, prospect of the future for now? What should I do with my children? Should they go to secondary school? Should they learn how to become entrepreneurs? What is AI going to do? I need these conscious conversations because I refuse to dig my head in the sand after my awakening. And these conscious conversations help you to reflect and pivot, and then it gives you again that fire of purpose again in your life, whether it be pivoting towards a new business idea, whether it be reconnecting with family, whether it be spending more time with friends. I'm not sure what it is for you, but these conscious conversations, you need a community around you that you can have those with that don't cost you money by going to see a therapist. You need your soul family that understands you. The other thing is getting out in nature, grounding, whether it's walking on the beach or walking in the bush. I think I said this in another episode about forest being the words for rest. You just need to go out there to recalibrate the energy, meditate, dance, listen to music. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you do need to do things to switch off and reconnect to the self. And take away the phones, take away technology, listen to the wind. Those are the things, because again, we only have this now moment, and you need to come back to it. Because when you live in the future, you live in anxiety. And when you live in the past, this is what causes depression. I remember before my awakening, I only ever existed in either the future or the past. I was either creating the classes for the next day, the periods that I have with these students, and also worrying about paying the mortgage or whatever it might be. And then, or I'm upset about the past because I'm wounded and triggered about something that might have happened from my childhood, just from a conversation I had in that day. But I didn't realize that the now moment existed and that I could choose in that moment what I did in the next moment. And when you take that autonomy back, you realize that you're actually always one decision from changing your life. You don't have to do anything. You choose to do it. And that when you also understand that, you no longer can live in victim mentality. There are things potentially outside of your control. I completely understand that. But you choose how you respond to that. That is your responsibility. That is your responsibility. So no one has made you do anything. You've chosen those things. And sometimes, especially even for me, being predominantly on my own a lot with my children, it's hard work. It's not easy. It didn't mean that I left my husband, changed my life, and everything in the home was really easy. It was really difficult. But there were so many other things that I was abundant for in my life that I was grateful for. I think there's a fallacy that people believe that once you awaken or you choose the healing path, that you're just walking around in love and light all the time. You're still human. And the difference is that instead of sitting in victim mindset and the world is happening to me and remaining miserable, you go, okay, the choices I've made have led me to here. How can I now make choices that get me out of this place, so that in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, my life can look completely different because of my choice. But it doesn't mean as soon as you make the choice that day that everything's going to be amazing. Something else I sort of touched on earlier is tools for navigating making decisions on challenges authentically. So essentially, how to trust and make decisions that is aligned with your higher purpose or the thing that you're here to do. And again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. You need to learn what it means to discern. And whether it's, some things that you'll be pulling on is from past experience, from information that you can gather, from the things that you've heard, and then essentially it comes down to what is in your gut. And one of the things that I ask myself is it a fuck yes? Because if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. I heard that once. I was like, that's brilliant. So if you're questioning if you need to make an answer and it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. It's a no for now. The other thing people don't realize either is that inaction is still an action. So people will sit there and be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't want to make a step forward because I don't want, but you're still choosing not to then do anything. So then you're still choosing your current reality. I wanted to just mention that. The other thing when making a decision that you really need to think about is you need to ask yourself the question with making a decision, does this serve me in this moment? And does this serve me long term? If there is a decision that you're about to make, whether it's, I don't know, for lack of a better example, is having an alcoholic beverage and you're emotionally dysregulated at the time. Does it serve me in this moment? Yes, helps to numb. Does it serve me long term? No. So that's a no. Because long term, we're going to have to come back to this very moment of, does this serve me in this moment? Yes. Does it serve me long term? And therefore, you're still coming back to this moment. So, does it serve me in this moment? Yes. The choosing no of drinking. And does it serve me long term? Yes. You don't have to repeat that cycle. That's easier said than done. Obviously, with addictions and all sorts of other habitual behaviors that are not serving to the body, they're really hard to break. So I'm definitely not discounting that. I have experienced that firsthand with people close to me. and it's really hard to watch, but it's possible. It is possible to break those addictions. There's so many beautiful people that have been able to access AA and to get out the other side and go on to live AA and NA really, really successful lives. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. But if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. That is your discernment. If you can't feel into here as to whether or not it's making your body feel like it wants to retreat, that's your sign. Or if you want to lean into it. The other thing you do need to test is whether or not it's fear-based. And that's where these questions come in. So if you're feeling a retreat from a decision, this is how I do it. If I'm feeling a retreat from a decision and I ask those two questions, does it serve me in this moment? So if I'm fearful and it's a limiting belief, I'm going to retreat in this moment and I'm going to say, does this serve me in this moment? Yes. Does this serve me in the long term? Yes. So it's my fear that is actually causing the block. But, does this serve me in this moment? Yes. Does it serve me in the long term? No. If you're looking at business ideas or, changing jobs, looking at all those things, fear can be something that holds you back. So it's something that you really need to sit with and look into and ask yourself the questions, and whether or not it's fear or if it's your gut saying that's just not a good idea. It might look on paper like it could serve you long term, but something feels off. So that is something that you need to do when moving forward after your awakening, is really get in touch with your intuition and meditate and sit in silence and have days where you, even if you do it for an hour, you play the game where you listen to the gut and see where it takes you. Just trust it. Where should I go? What should I do? What should I buy? It's a very funny game, but it helps you. You have no idea what opportunities could come your way when you just start to let it take control and listen. I'll be interested to see if you do that. If you do that activity, can you please let me know in the comments what you did, where did it take you? Did you learn anything from the experience? Because I think in one of the earlier episodes I talked about the experience of going to Kmart and then having the man next to me with the CD and all the rest of it. Those synchronicities were just absolutely wild, and that's what can happen when you listen and you don't let fear take over. The last thing I wanted to talk about was integrating the remembered truth into my music, into my work, and into my relationships. And I suppose I just want to give you an example of how my life kind of looks now, which is a real reflection of how my awakening and my remembered truth has allowed me to navigate the life that I have right now. And I'm not sitting here telling you I'm a millionaire and everything is amazing and I'm not still swapping time for money, because that's not the truth. I'm sitting here talking to you guys because there is still a more beautiful way to live, just as a normal human doing normal jobs, but with a remembrance that it's all for a greater picture, and that if you just surrender and let go, life can just be a little bit easier. Because we forget that we are all going to die, and everyone around us is also too. Sorry to be morbid, but that is the truth. So the thing that you're worried about, or someone having a better business than you, or earning more money, or being prettier, or better at something, it's like comparison is the joy killer, the ultimate joy killer. Stay in your lane, stay in your moment, stay with you. And what brings you joy, what lights you up, go and do those things. Because there's one moment, one life, one decision after the next decision, and you're the one choosing them. These are the things you need to remember in your everyday life to not get stuck back in the cycle. So for me, in my music, I very much reflect my remembered truth in my music, because for me, my music is just another modality to get my message out there, which is that we are all one, that we are all connected. And I see us all as little ants, creating our big ant hill. Unfortunately, just not everyone's on board with how we want to build the anthill. We don't really have a clear vision on how the anthill should look, especially when we've got AI involved at the moment. That's another whole kettle of fish. We're going into a digital world that we've never, ever, ever even experienced before. Just like when the Industrial Revolution came about, it's the unknown. So again, you need to come back to self, come back to what's important to you, and put your time into those things. The other thing is work. Okay, work. When I finished school and I became a secondary school teacher after my neuroscience degree, I always envisioned that I would go back to university and finish my master's degree. But I was at school and I was teaching young children, and it was in those adolescents that I wanted to help. I wanted to help them to feel less misunderstood in the world, because I genuinely felt like that in high school. So I went back in because that was part of my soul's truth, that I wanted to make a difference there. Until it didn't feel good anymore. Until I realized there was probably more red tape with helping them than I wanted to. So when I stepped out and I realized there was a way bigger picture here, I'm not just going to be able to change this in this lane. And I had my awakening, and I went through what I did, so then I understood that there are things at play here that we can't necessarily see, that are influencing our life. I wanted to give myself the opportunity to be in the world but not of it. So I decided, instead of being employed by someone, I become self-employed. I pick when I want to teach. I also clean. I sometimes work behind a bar. I play music. I sell goods online, and I tutor. I do lots of things, and I pick and choose when I do those things. And I have so much autonomy over my time, the thing that I only have in this life. And I also love every one of those things that I do. I really enjoy the day that I'm cleaning, and I get to listen to podcasts, and I get to dream about, things I want to create. And I usually come away from those days like really hyper focused on my business and my podcasting and my music and the things that I want to build. And the day that I go out teaching, I get to go out into the world and speak to the younger generation and see what's going on, and see where I can help, see the pain points, see what my children are going to be stepping into, and do I want that for them? Is there a better way? And I like that. Tutoring, the one-on-one I get from that. What I'm trying to say is, there is more than one way to live this life. You don't have to work the 9 to 5. You've got all these other skill sets that you can draw on, and you could do something different every single day if you wanted to, and then it allows me to spend time on my music and the shows I want to put on, and speaking at events, sharing the message. That's what I want to be doing. So I created a life that allows me to do that, but I'm still enjoying each step. If I was working 9 to 5 at schools every day, I wouldn't be inspired. I would be not very happy. So what I want to encourage you is, once you're awakened and you're sitting there like, what do I do? Again, look in. What are you jealous of? What are the things that you will regret if you were lying on your deathbed if you did not do? They are the things that you need to find a way to step into. What's the next step? Okay, well, there's going to be fear there as to what it is you're looking at. So again, is it only scaring me in this moment? Is it going to serve me long term? If the long term is a yes, then it's a fear. Go and step into it. Find the courage, do the therapy, whatever it is that you need to do. But your life's not going to change if you don't take a step. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you need to make the change, or you can only be the one that's responsible in 10 years' time going, I'm still in the same spot. Victim mentality is your choices. I'm sorry, but it is your choices. So I integrate my lessons into my work, that I am the creator of my reality. And if I want it to look a certain way, if I want to live in a certain place, if I want a certain lifestyle, I have to be the one to create it. And would I prefer to have a little bit more cash flow so that I didn't have to do extra days? Yeah, I would, but I don't have that. But am I working towards that? Is that a future goal? Yes. And is how I'm doing it right now the worst thing in the world? Absolutely not. And then the last thing is in my relationships. You know, when you awaken and you realize that you're not a perfect human and that you make mistakes and that you're never going to be a perfect human, it relieves all the pressure of becoming the perfect human. And then not only in that point do you feel the pressure come off, you then open your eyes and look around at everyone else and you realize that every other single person is grieving, has pain points, you know, is potentially comparing themselves to someone else and wishing that they had more, no matter how much money they have, no matter how much abundance they have. Every single human is going through the same thing, just at different, varying degrees. And the important part is learning how to acknowledge when you're ruminating in that cycle, and when you're stepping outside, becoming present again and realizing that you're in life and that you're here to create and enjoy. And so again, when you realize the humanity in all, you can have compassion and empathy, and you can see someone for a decision that they make that might be not, not serving them, and just see them and be like, I get it. We all make decisions that might not be in the best servants to our soul because we don't know how to listen yet, or we haven't dealt with certain things, or we have pain from things in our childhood, or whatever it might be. And when you can just see the humanity in other people, it can bring up emotion. People are so beautiful and life is so tragically beautiful. And I'm just so grateful that the things that I have in my life, and, there are things that I would love to be different, and there's things that I cannot control or change. So I have to surrender and allow it to be, and remember that there are so many other things that I can be grateful for. So there it is. That's it. I just wanted to have a really sort of unscripted, guided conversation about, living when you have this remembered truth. When you remember who you are and why you're here, and that you want to go and collect all the puzzle pieces and put them all together so that you can live with purpose. Yeah, it's not an easy journey, but for those of you who are out there doing it, I am so grateful that you are. The world is a better place just having you here, smiling, sharing your light, and being authentically real, and understanding that life can be shit sometimes too. We all need people around us that see that and that can acknowledge that that's okay too, and hold you in those times. Go find your soul tribe. Go and find out what are the things that are non-negotiable for you to be not regretting on your deathbed. What are the things that you have to do? And then you find a way to make that happen. And if you need help with that, I do one-on-one coaching. So feel free to jump over to my website and book a strategic session with me, and we can just have a chat about what it is you want to do and what are the steps forward to go and do that. The other thing I'd love to encourage you to do is go check out my music on Spotify at Hazel Ray. Go and check out my t-shirts. Got lots of different slogans, and that helps support me on this channel. It helps support me do my music. And I'm just really grateful for you being here. Please subscribe, please share with friends that you think would like this as well. And I'll see you for our last episode of this season, episode 9, before the next one. All right, ciao.
When you look in my eyes, you know who I am, but I'm just wearing a mask. When you go hold my hand, did you know my heart? But it's been caged from the start, 'cause I haven't told a story since I was a girl that I had to live by to survive in this world. You've been told it too, and I'm sorry you've been lied to. You've been lied to. You've been lied to. So let's sing a song for the future. Let's sing a song for every boy and every girl. Let's write a song for the future, that they might have a better world. When you go down the street, smile at everyone you meet. It might be the only one they see. When you're stuck in that line, be kind to those by your side. They live like you, they'll die too. And I haven't told a story since I was a girl that I had to live by to survive in this world. You've been told it too, and I'm sorry you've been lied to. You've been lied to. You've been lied to. So let's sing a song for the future. Let's sing a song for every boy and every girl. Let's write a song for the future, that they might have a better world. But I need your help to shine a light on the shadow places. I can do it on my own. It's time for us to take a stand. So let's write a song for the future. Let's write a song for every boy and every girl. Let's write a song for the future, so they might have a better world. Let's write a song for the future. Let's write a song for every boy and every girl. Let's write a song for the future, so they might have a better world. Let's write a song for the future, so they might have a better world. So they might have a better world. I pray they have